Alright, so welcome guys to another review, and today we have the Moondrop Sparks. So the first TWS from Moondrop that we are testing, and for me this is a really exciting TWS for enthusiasts because this is the first time that I have seen this kind of tuning on a TWS. So let's talk about this. Of course, a big thanks to Shenzhen Audio for sending this over. Links down below for their shop. So looking at the box itself, you have Sparks, true wireless stereo, and on the other side you're getting some specs, 20 to 90 kHz in frequency range, 6mm dynamic driver, beryllium coated dome and PU suspension ring, Bluetooth 5.2, aptX support, aptX AAC SBC as well. So definitely really cool that you have Moondrop TWS now, because definitely I do like to see more enthusiast brands in the TWS space. And again, as I mentioned in my unpacking, this might just be one of my top recommendations if this sounds nice. You have another box inside, and opening it up, and this is your Sparks. And actually from the get-go, this is actually similar to the size of your Sabbat as well, but it's actually a bit bigger. So I was actually surprised about that. So you're getting additional sets of tips. You're actually getting a braided USB-C cable. And of course, you also get some manuals as well. So looking at the case itself, definitely it's in the bigger side of things. I was actually surprised on how big it is, because I was expecting something like a Sabbat X12. But the Sabbat is actually smaller compared to your Sparks. So definitely surprising on that. Also getting a matte finish as well. You have Sparks logo. And at the top, you have Moondrop logo with that kind of gold trims. And at the other side, you're getting that USB-C charger. And actually, the USB-C charger, the placement is a bit awkward for me. And also the Sparks for me as well, the logo is not that centered. So that's one of my issues. But definitely, it's cool that you have unique look. So definitely, I do like that. I do like uniqueness in your TWS. And it's matte in finish as well. So definitely it kind of feels good in the hand. It's not the most premium that I have felt, but definitely because of that matte finish, it feels a bit more upscale. So looking at the lobes itself, so it's now lighting up. It definitely has that unique look to it. Maybe it reminds me of the Aria in terms of the design on the ear. And you actually get that maybe fins, pseudo fins here, which might help to make this more stable on the ear. And actually it does go inside your ear as well. So in terms of the design, this kind of reminds me of the E12 Ultras, but actually this is a little bit bigger compared to that. And actually you do get that matte finish as well. So whether you like that or not, that will be up to you. And actually after you put it in, it's actually see-through. That's actually surprising. And also here as well, it's see-through. So that's definitely a unique design for me. I haven't seen a TWS like this, because usually some TWSs has an opaque case. But here, actually see-through, you can see the insides. In terms of the opening and closing, you do get a magnet as well. And actually what's interesting here is you get a little bit of smoothness to it, a little bit of weight when you're opening it. So actually it's not the fastest opening. So compared to maybe the Sabbat XL Ultra, the opening is definitely faster. So here you get a little bit of friction there. So yeah, that's one issue that I encountered. The build quality, I would say, is decent. It's not the best, but it's definitely decent. I do like that kind of matte finish. And definitely I do like the uniqueness of the overall design with that see-through kind of thing. Now I'm gonna test this on the ear. So fit on the ear on this is actually decent. So it does stay on your ear. So for walking and maybe minor activities, this will stay on your ear. But I wouldn't use this for any running. This is not that stable, so you would want fins in your TWSs. In terms of isolation, it's actually very good as well. So for non-ANC, this does block out most of the noise. In terms of comfort, it's actually good as well. So it's quite breathable on the ear. So actually this is a medium size TWS, but because of that contours in the design, it's actually very comfortable to wear on the ear. Just one issue for me in this is to put this on the ear, you need to fiddle around to get a good fit. So it's not that easy to get a good fit, maybe compared to your Sabbats. Your Sabbat is a little bit better in that regard. Also, this does go inside your ear. The insertion is a bit deep. So for some people, you might find that a bit off. But for me, still overall, in terms of the fit on the ear, there's no deal breakers here. So this is the mic quality of the Moondrop Sparks. Let me know what you think of the sound quality down in the comments below. And now this is the Moondrop Sparks with some people talking in the background. Let me know what you think of the noise cancellation, and can you still hear my voice? Let me know down in the comments below. So the connection for me in this is pretty stable as well. So it's similar to what I have tested before with your Halus and Sabbat as well. So around 5 meters in my actual usage. So in terms of delay, this is actually not the best for me. So I wouldn't use this for any gaming. So for me, it's very much noticeable. Pairing here is good for me. I did pair this with a Windows device, Android device, and also iOS device. And I transferred from each as well, and I didn't encounter any issues. Alright, but I want to point out that this Moondrop Sparks is a new TWS from Moondrop, so I'm not 100% sure of the consistency of the manufacturing across the range. So my unit is good, but take note if you're gonna order, hopefully you can make sure that your unit is good as well, or if there's a return policy, if there's an issue that arises with your TWS. So for me, in terms of the features, I'm not the best featured in this. So there are more TWS that's more feature packed compared to this. But definitely, we're not buying this for the features, we're buying this for the sound. So let's talk about the sound. So firstly, this is a nicely tuned TWS. This is the first TWS that I have seen that's tuned near an IM diffused field compensation. But this is a touch brighter compared to the other Moondrops that I have heard. So firstly, yes, this is not a bassy pair. So this is in the musical side of things. Definitely engaging to listen to. It's actually not the most aggressive that I have listened to. This has a relaxed nature to it as well. So it's actually right in the middle. So it's not overly aggressive musical type of presentation. So compared to the other Moondrops that I've heard, this is one of the more relaxed tunings on the air. Maybe it reminds me of the Guide Ray as well. In the relaxed nature of the sound. So definitely is not the most aggressive that I have listened to. So let's take a look at the signature. So actually in the signature, so it's very near the IM diffused field compensation, but again, the highs is a bit more elevated in this compared to the others that I have tested. So from the bass region, it's actually fairly level, but you get a slight hump at around 60 Hertz region. But most of the bass is still recessed in the mix here, so this is not a bassy pair. And after that, it goes up to around 600 Hertz region. So the mids is a bit more elevated, and also the highs in the mix. So after the 600 Hertz region, you get a slight dip in 1K. And then after that, you get a slight elevation at around 1 to 2K. And after that, you get a dip at around 2 to 3K. And after that, you get a hump at around 4 to 5K. And then after that, it goes down. So definitely, yes, the bass here is not that elevated in the mix. And as you can see, guys, there's not a lot of 12K peak here than what you see with maybe other Moondrops in the price range. So compared to the Moondrop SSP, so the SSP has that similar no 12K peak on top, and also has the similar 4 to 5K peak as well. But actually the 1 to 2K in the SSP is more recessed in the mix. So definitely, yes, it's a more U-shaped on the ear compared to what you get with the Sparks. That the 1 to 2K is more elevated in the mix, and also you don't get that 600 Hertz elevation as well. So the SSP does have more bass elevation compared to what you get with the Sparks, that after 600 Hertz you get dip in the bass region. So definitely, yes, the SSP is more bassy and also a bit more U-shaped compared to what you get with your Sparks. So compared to the Moondrop Aria, so yes, the Aria is more expensive, but I do like to have a benchmark. So the Aria has that similar 1 to 2K elevation, and also has that similar 4 to 5K elevation as well. But actually below that, definitely the bass in the Aria is more prominent in the mix. So the Aria is more warm to the ear compared to what you get with the Sparks, that the bass is more recessed in the mix. And also you don't have that 12K peak like the Aria. So in the Sparks, you don't have that air frequency elevation. So in terms of the signature, yes, this is still close to the IM diffused field compensation, but definitely a bit different compared to your other Moondrops. So the highs here are well extended on top for me, no sibilance for me as well. It also has good energy as well at the top. So I can see the musicality of the top here. So among all the TWS that I've listened to, this sounds the most level top that I've listened to. However, one issue for me here is that this still has some thinness on top. Even if it doesn't show in the measurements, some cymbals are still lacking a bit of body for me. So like in Beat It on Michael Jackson, the cymbals is a bit too thin for my liking. Though actually in Let's Groove, Earth, Wind and Fire, the shaker is better in the body, but the cymbals is not the best bodied highs that I have heard. So the mids have good positioning, one of the best positionings that I've heard on a TWS. So definitely that elevation at around 400 Hz to 1 to 2K helped out in the vocal positioning. So the male and female vocals for me are one of the best positionings that I've heard in the price range. However, the male vocals is still a little bit recessed than what I would like. The female vocals are where you want it to be. So like in Bruno Mars, Leave the Door Open, the vocal positioning is great there with some micro detail as well. So definitely yes, the detail retrieval for me is still good as well in this. And it's also quite clean in the presentation also. So definitely more of an enthusiast presentation on the ear. There's also no shoutiness for me in the vocal generally, but maybe some hotness in maybe some snare hits. So definitely the liveliness shows, but not all the tracks. There's just a couple of tracks that I encountered some hotness in the snares. Though if I'm gonna nitpick in this, so the vocal might have good positioning, but it still has some thinness for me, so much like the highs. It's not the fullest, bodied vocal that I have encountered. This is not the most smooth as well, not the most lush that I have encountered, especially in the male vocal. So I would say even if it has good positioning for me, this won't still be for vocal heads. But definitely again, for a TWS, this will be a trend, guys. For a TWS, this is one of the best positionings that I've heard still. So the bass, while it's recessed in the measurements, I'm still very much present in the mix. Also goes deep as well. And also it's in the tight side of presentation. So this has a slight boom to it. So it's still quite a fun presentation overall. This is not your overly technical bass, and it's also quite big in the mix here, but definitely yes, this is not a bass heads TWS. And also if I'm gonna nitpick as well, so the bass might still be slower than what I would like. So yes, the bass is still maybe a bit mellow than what I would like. So soundstage wise, this is above average. Definitely for a TWS, one of the best that I've listened to again. Imaging is just alright, not the most technical that I've heard, so this is not something that I want to use for maybe some mixing work. Separation with a smoothish presentation, it's not that black and white. Though for a TWS and a dynamic driver, again, this is one of the better ones that I've heard. Detail wise for a dynamic driver, this has some micro detail as well, so definitely impressive on that. So for me, detail is above average in this. So compared to the Sabbat X12 Ultra, so the X12 is more bassy, actually a lot more bassy compared to the Sparks. The X12 is more fun because of that bass elevation. The stage is more closed in, so definitely more intimate sound stage. Less detail retrieval in the Sabbat. Thinner highs on top. Yeah, the X12 is more lively on the ear. The Sparks in comparison is more neutral to the ear. Less bassy, better separation, more enthusiast tuned. So again, less bass in the Sparks. And actually, compared to the X12, can sound more boring to listen to compared to the X12 Ultra because of that, flatter bass in the Sparks. Also more relaxed on the ear in the Sparks. So for me personally, yes, the X12 is still nice for the price, especially if you like bass. For me, I do prefer the Sparks over your Sabbat X12 Ultra. So I don't have the E12 Ultra now here in the channel, so I won't be able to compare it with that Sabbat. So compared to the KZ-E10, one of my favorite in the $50 range, actually my top one in the $50 range. So after listening to the E10 again, I still like the E10, definitely still one of my favorite TWSs. So the E10 is more fun to listen to, more V type of shape on the ear. Definitely has more air frequencies in the E10. You have that KZ peak in the E10. So for me, the E10 is more fun to listen to and more revealing in the E10 as well overall. So the vocals for me are more revealing in the E10. The bass is more boomy, more engaging type of listen. The separation also is better as well in the E10. The sound is tighter as well, faster in the E10. And the detail retrieval in the E10 is great as well. So one downside of the E10 is, yes, you do have a BA type of presentation, which might not be for all, and you do have some technical issues with the E10. The Spark, on the other hand, is less bassy, smoother, colder in presentation, maybe more boring if you listen to it side by side, and more relaxed as well overall, and flatter also, and more laid back vocals as well in the mix. So if you like fun, the E10 is still great for me. So even if after a year, I'm still one of my favorite. If you like a more relaxed kind of sound, a more IM diffused compensation tuning, you might want to go to the Sparks. So for me personally, I actually like them equally in terms of the sound. So for me, the Spark is one of the best that I've listened to, much like the E10 in the price range. they both belong for me in my top 5s. They're different enough to coexist, so it will depend on your preference. If you like fun, go to the E10. If you like a more bright signature, more IM diffused signature, you might want to go to the Sparks. So compared to wired counterparts, so this won't be a fair comparison, but yeah, it's a Moondrop product. You should compare it to other Moondrops as well. So versus the SSP, so the SSP sound is fuller overall. It's more smooth sounding as well. So the vocals for me is fuller and more revealing as well in the SSP, and also tighter sound as well for me. And also the highs for me is fuller as well in the sound. So over the SSP, the Sparks sound more relaxed, thinner vocal, thinner top as well. So overall, I do like the SSP still more than the Sparks. So for me, given this comparison, right now, still your wired counterparts will still be better than your TWSs. Here's a verdict for the Moondrop Sparks. So still, even if I nitpicked on it, I would say still this is one of my favorite TWSs in the price range. But of course, it will depend on you, depend on your preference. But for me, yes, great tuning overall, nearest to the IM diffused field compensation that I have seen, and I do like that overall. The vocal positioning for me is great. Has a micro detail as well. No shoutiness as well in the presentation. Quite a big stage also. So in terms of cons, yes, the highs can have some thinness on top. Vocals also is not the smoothest and most full that I have listened to. And for me, yes, maybe a bit too relaxed in presentation for me in this. One of the more relaxed Moondrops that I have heard. So for some people, especially if you're into bass, you might find this a boring type of listen. So maybe it reminds me of the SSR as well without that air frequencies. So yes, for some people, especially if you're into bass, if you're into fun, this won't be something that you would want. So long story short, this has been a long review. So yes, for me, this still won't beat out your wired counterparts. It's also not the most fun bassy TWS, but definitely for an enthusiast, this is one of the best that I've listened to for a TWS in that price range. So definitely for enthusiasts, this goes to me as recommended. If you like Moondrop sound, recommended as well. If you like an IM diffused field compensation, recommended as well. But if you're looking for bass, if you're looking for some fun, you should look elsewhere. That's my review of the Moondrop Sparks. Really exciting to look at for me. Of course, if you learned something, leave a like and subscribe for more content like this in the future. Of course, if you'd like to treat me some coffee or support the channel, I do have my Patreon and also PayPal links below. If you want to get this, big thanks to Shenzhen Audio for sending this over. Use my links down in the description below as well. And yes, thanks for watching, and I'm gonna see you guys in the next zpolt review. Bye-bye.